weeks. You remember that study?
Absolutely, and I can say with my own work in the Marshall Islands, that was probably the most shocking part for me, is how rapidly the changes happened. And we had people who had pain in their legs, you know, intermittent claudication, and that where they couldn't walk across a room, and they had it for 15, 20 years in some cases. In a week it was gone. The changes can happen very, very rapidly.
It reminds me of a diabetic who was in California. He was in Kaiser Permanente Insurance Company going to see his podiatrist, and he was going to have his leg amputated. He had to have his foot amputated due to gangrene, or an early gangrene due to diabetes. And the man with diabetes started crying and said, "I don't really want to have my leg amputated. Isn't there anything I could do to save my leg?" And the doctor threw up his hand and said, "I don't know, why don't you see Steve, Dr. Steve below, and he's into this crazy diet that helps people reverse diabetes. Maybe it'll help you, you know." So of course the guy's leg comes back and he saves his leg. But he wasn't even going to mention the diet, that he could go on a diet and save his leg, or even do anything about his diabetes. He was just going to surgery and operate and cut off his leg. He wasn't going to mention that until the guy started crying and telling him, "Isn't there, begging the doctor, isn't there anything I could do, anything I could possibly do that may help me?"
So go to the weirdo downstairs.
Yeah, the guy downstairs. I didn't say no. But when we see this all the time, we see people with very serious conditions and very advanced disease processes, pathologies that still get better and reverse these diseases. So it is tremendously hopeful for even people who've eaten poorly and have disease, and it is tremendously protective. And I always make the statement that eating right is 100 times, at least 100 times more protective against future heart attacks than taking cholesterol-lowering drugs and taking blood pressure medications. It's not no comparison at all.
The blessing that Anna and I have had